Hey everyone, and welcome to MadLit Musings. This is Jamie Jo Wright, your host and the person that always talks really fast on podcasts. But today I have with me from Tyndale Publishing, the author T.I. Lowe. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Uh,
I'll slow you down because I'm from the South and we talk real slow. We got
well, yeah,
that lazy draw, so maybe we'll balance each other out.
we'll try. I have this northern tendency to just keep the words rolling and not pause for breath until everything in my mouth and head has spilled out. It's dangerous. Oh, wow. Okay. So you are Christie Award nominated was that for your first book, which was, well,
No.
not necessarily your first book, but Under the Magnolias?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
It
Sounds
was.
good. And you have a book called Indigo Isle. It's releasing in June. It has a beautiful cover.
Thank you. I love it.
I love it. Now,
It's illustrated.
that's what I was gonna say, because before we came on, you were telling me about it. So tell us a little bit about the cover. I'll let you tell.
I, was, I really wanted something that I keep looking down at the cover
Mm-hmm.
now. I wanted something to reflect the indigo the whole art of indigo is highlighted in the book.
Okay.
And so, but it's on an island, a barrier island off the coast of Charleston, but it was like, it's not a tropical island. So I didn't want to go that route. You know how it goes
Right.
with cover ideas.
Yep.
But, they really, I wanted something to capture indigo fabric, indigo dyed
Mm-hmm.
fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And the designer from Tyndall House, she hand illustrated that entire cover.
That is crazy. And she did such a phenomenal job. Look at that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If you're not, go to YouTube. Subscribe to the channel because you're going to see the cover and it's gorgeous.
I just got this in the mail 2 days ago.
Oh man, it is so pretty. And I love the fact that it's hand done. It just brings so
Yes.
much depth to it.
Mhm.
That's great. Well, let me read the back cover for listeners so they know what it's about. Because I'm already intrigued. All right. Sunny Bates left South Carolina 15 years ago and never looked back. Now she's a successful Hollywood location scout who travels the world finding perfect places for movie shoots. Home is wherever she lands, and between her busy schedule and dealing with her boss's demands, she has little time to think about the past until her latest gig lands her a stone's throw from everything she left behind. Dun, dun, dun. Searching off the coast of Charleston for a scheduled site to film a key scene, Sunny wanders onto a private barrier island. I'm sold. And encounters its reclusive owner. I'm also sold. I love reclusive owners. Known by the locals as the monster of Indigo Island. Indigo Isle. Sorry, I have to reread that because the sentence is really key. Sunny wanders onto a private barrier island and encounters its reclusive owner, known by locals as the monster of Indigo Isle. What she finds is a man much more complex than the myth. Once successful New York attorney, Hudson Renfro's grief has exiled him to his island for several years. He spends his days alone tending his fields of indigo, then making indigo dye, and he has no interest in serving the intrusive needs of a film company or yielding to Sunny's determined curiosity. But when a hurricane makes landfall on the Carolina coast, stranding them together, an unlikely friendship forms between the two damaged souls. Soon the gruff exterior Hudson has long hidden behind crumbles, exposing the tender part of him that's desperate for forgiveness and a second chance. I'm sold. I'm going to go pre-order. Everybody
Thank
pre-order now.
The end.
The
Okay.
end. That was a great book. Loved it. Awesome. Great interview. Thanks for being on the show.
No, bye.
Oh, fun. Okay, so just take me through a little bit on, you know, indigo, the dye, all this. Because as somebody in Wisconsin, I know nothing about that.
No. Well, I love the art of it, and there's a rich history about indigo in South Carolina. It was one of the major exports in the late 1800s.
Okay.
So I had plenty of history to work with. I don't know about you, but I go to the University of YouTube quite
Oh,
regularly. Yeah,
all
I've
the
got
time.
2 master's degrees by
I
now.
think we probably got a PhD over here, so just call me Dr. YouTube.
for sure. And I actually got to go to a workshop. There's I thought this whole what do you call it, revival of indigo art in South
Really?
Carolina. So I attended a workshop where we actually went to a field of indigo. We harvested the plant, and then we stripped the leaves off and we steeped them to make the blue, to extract the blue dye. And so I got to, not a lot of times when you do research for a book, you get to touch it, you get to feel
Right.
it, you got, the whole experience of it. So when it comes to adding that, it's a layer of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty neat. So our main character, Sunny, she's the prodigal daughter, so to speak, and so she's damaged and just she considered herself a weed pretty much.
Okay.
And if you've ever seen an indigo plant, which you can go to YouTube and look it up and see it, it looks like a weed.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty neat how in the process of writing the story and then layering in the whole indigo art, it paralleled, like where you would take this plant, it looks like a weed, nothing
Mm-hmm.
special, and through damaging it, beating and bruising the leaves,
Mm.
something so beautiful come out of it.
Mm.
Beautiful dye, blue dye. And so it's just like, I got probably about 3/4 the way of the book. I'm like, this is Sunny. Sunny is indigo.
Yeah.
Speak. So it was such a beautiful process of discovering the art of indigo and then how it just really related to the book in a way that I didn't expect. I just, was weaving in something for the recluse
Right.
monster to do on the island to keep him there.
Right.
But and I tell people this story is my Southern take on my favorite parable as well as my favorite fairy tale. So it's a matchup
Ooh.
of that prodigal daughter meets Beauty and the Beast.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I've always liked that parable. It has many layers to it, and one of the
Mhm.
ones that really intrigues me is the obedient son and
Mm-hmm.
how he responded to the dad welcoming the prodigal son back. And us author brains, our imagination wants to go beyond that. We want
Right.
to figure out, well, what happened after that. And mine has always been, well, how did those two brothers react to one another
Mm.
when he come back?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm down in South, and I thought, well, let's just explore all this from the female dynamics, the
Yeah.
daughter, the mother, and then the two obedient sisters. And so I got to explore that, how the sisters reacted when she come back. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, Beauty and the Beast. Um, that's my favorite because I like a damaged hero. I don't
Yes.
like perfection. There's no such thing as perfection.
Right.
So I took the beast and that's Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
He's not perfect. He's got his own wounds he has to heal. And there's a line from the book that tells her she needs to be her own hero. He's not her hero. And so I think that's a powerful message too.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. I like that too. The feminine take on the story of the prodigal son.
Uh-huh.
Because I think there's a lot of women that can relate to that story, and then having it told from a feminine angle in a fiction environment can just be really impactful.
Yeah.
So I love that.
We all have prodigal moments in our life.
Yeah.
We're all prodigals, along the way. And we always
Mm-hmm.
get back to where we need to get back to.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah.
I like that. A prodigal and a wounded hero, or
Yeah.
a deeply disturbed one, a monster. So tell us a little bit about Hudson's past. He's grieving. Can you tell us like what he's grieving or what he's going through without
A
spoilers?
little bit of it. Yeah, I don't want to give it all away, but
Right, right.
so he lived in New York
Okay.
and he was a victim of an apartment a fire,
Okay.
and he lost people in that. I won't say who he lost, but
Right.
lost people in that fire. And of course, he has a few scars,
Mm-hmm.
on his neck and shoulder from the fire. And he's not so much of a recluse because of the scars. He's a recluse because of what the tragedy, and
Right.
he can't overcome the tragedy. And he can't forgive his part in the tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I can forgive others a whole lot easier than I can forgive myself.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of Hudson. He can't forgive himself. And so
Mm.
it's almost like a self-imposed prison sentence for him to be out there.
Yeah.
And it was his grandfather's island, and
Okay.
his grandfather left it to him. But his grandfather was the Indigo um, farmer, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, before then. And then so it just passed, he passed that down to Hudson. And one little thing about it is, in Beauty and the Beast, Belle always has a book in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my book, Hudson always has a book in his hand. And
Oh, I love it.
yeah, and his first line of if he's ever asked about the book, well, what do you think about the book? He always says, "I hate it." But then he says, in his roundabout, gruffy, grumpy way, what he likes about the books.
Sure, sure. Oh, I like that. I like the gruff kind of grumpy heroes too.
Oh,
Those are
for
always
sure. Mhm.
perfect. I love it. Right up my alley. That's awesome. So, okay, when you're thinking about prodigals and you're thinking about somebody who's, really struggling through grief, how do you, as an author, address those topics? Because those are two really big topics, that prodigal element of potentially shame or having deserted your family, etc. And then you have over here grief, which is its own huge theme. How do you mesh the two, and where does faith come in with all of that?
So, Sunny, there's a lot more, how you say the story's about this, but then it's really about this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sure, she ran away, and she made mistakes, and those mistakes put her in a situation where she was sexually assaulted
Okay.
and um sexually
Mm-hmm.
assaulted, but she almost felt like she deserved it, like she got herself in
Oh.
that situation. You know how when you're faced with danger, everyone that says you either fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a third response, and that's
Mm-hmm.
freeze. And freeze always, gets interpreted to them giving permission for
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
something, but she didn't. But then she felt like, I've made all these mistakes. No
Mm-hmm.
one's going to believe me. So she pretty much keeps her mouth shut about it. And it's almost like a self-imposed, like Hudson self-imposed himself to the island. Hers is self-imposed. Well, this is the consequences for my actions. This is what I
Okay.
deserve.
Okay.
And, so it was the whole idea of the prodigal story.
Mm-hmm.
Did the prodigal son deserve to go back to his father and get the ring and the robe and the celebration?
Right.
No. but, but God, the father was there to welcome him home anyway.
Right.
And um, I love that whole idea of the father didn't just sit back and wait. He
Mm-hmm.
ran to that son, and
Right.
um, I thought that was just a beautiful faith element. You can. I don't feel like it's ever too late to ask for forgiveness or to make things right until your last breath.
Right.
And so this was Sunny's whole journey of getting back where she should be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She didn't feel like she deserved to go back home. The verse that was I don't want to try to quote it because I'm nervous. I'll be said it wrong. It says, "I will search for my lost loved ones who have strayed away, and I will bring them safely home again." Ezekiel 34:16.
Mm.
So that in a nutshell is the theme of the entire story. And
Okay.
even though hers is prodigal and Hudson's is the recluse, they both have the same situation, the same hurdles they need to get over.
Right.
You really need to forgive yourself and then go back
Yeah.
where you belong.
Yeah. So how do you think, as believers or people who maybe, are still exploring faith, how do we get to that point where we can forgive ourselves. I mean, it's one thing to even accept forgiveness and grace from a parent or somebody who's wronged us, etc., or somebody we've wronged. But forgiving ourselves is a completely different set of something.
It really is. I have the hardest time forgiving myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I've still figured it out. Um, I love one of my favorite things that I love that the New Testament highlights is Jesus went to the broken.
Mm-hmm.
He was always visiting with the broken, and he loved on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes me realize I never have to be perfect to go to Jesus. I never
Mm.
have to be perfect. I don't have to figure out all my wrongs because I mess up daily. But it's nothing about me
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to forgiveness with Jesus. It's all about him.
Right.
And no matter if you're a woman at the well, if you're a prodigal son, if you're a tax collector, whatever label the world wants to put on you, in God's eyes, you're his child.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants you with him, no matter how many bruises or mistakes or whatever, beaten and banged. Just he wants you. And I don't know about you, Jamie, but after I had my children, I understanded. I understanded. You like that? I
I like
understand.
that. We'll go with that. I like that word. Let's keep
I
it.
understand.
Understanded. I understanded that too. Yeah.
I really understand now
Mm.
that whole all of that about
Yeah.
being no matter what my children do, I'm going to love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that opened my eyes up to how God loves us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's interesting too, and one of the things I've thought about and mulled over is how I don't expect my children to be perfect. I don't
Exactly.
expect people in my life to be perfect. I'm really not stunned or surprised when my friends let me down or my husband makes me mad or whatever the situation is. And yet my own personal standard for myself is completely different.
Me too.
And I always wonder what
I say things
causes
to
that.
myself that I would never say to someone else.
Right.
Why do we do that?
I don't know. But see, I have a theory on that. And I'm not a theologian or anything like that. So let's just put a whole bunch of asterisks with this theory that it's not,
Same here. Same.
it's not necessarily proven by theology or doctrine. But my theory is, I think innately we know that we were created in the image of God.
Mhm.
And we also innately, instinctively, whether we admit it or not, know that God exists and that there is a perfection within him and who he is and his glory and his amazing supremacy. And we don't necessarily hold other people up next to God and say, oh, you failed. You're awful. But we do hold ourselves up next to God and go,
Mhm.
I don't even belong to enter the room. I don't belong to enter the Holy of Holies into the presence of perfection.
Mhm.
And suddenly we know all those dark secret places inside of ourselves that we're not proud of.
Mhm.
And I think then we do that. I don't want to say comparison, because in one aspect we should see that shortfalling. But then sometimes we live there instead of taking the next step into what is grace.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Mhm.
That's my theory. So we'll chew on that and see if that's worth anything.
I think so.
Oh, grace is hard to accept sometimes. And I love the fact that you'd mentioned she sees herself kind of as a weed.
Mhm.
Um, and there's so much beautiful that can come from a weed. I mean, have you ever seen those kids that run up to their mom with a dandelion
Yes.
and suddenly the dandelion is the most beautiful flower
Mhm.
in the world? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I love
I do.
it. Great. All right. So what else do we need to know about this story or about the process that your characters are going through?
Hmm. Let's see.
Have we covered it all?
I don't think you ever cover it all,
No,
right?
I know.
And then you got to be careful, like how much can you cover? You
I
don't want to
know,
get,
right.
yeah,
Well, maybe at this point, everybody needs to just go out and pre-order the book. Or
yeah,
if you're hearing this and it's already past June 6th, just go out and order the book because you can get that within a day with Amazon Prime.
yeah.
Or you
Can't
could,
beat that, can you?
no, you really can't. Or there's a lot of other bookstores too that are probably begging for you to walk into their doors and purchase their books. So I'm always big on those independent bookstores. So
Me too.
yeah. All right. So if readers want to learn more about this book, they want to follow you, find out more about your other books, because this is not the only one that you've written. Where do they go and how do they find you?
I'm everywhere.
Okay.
All the social medias. Definitely, probably my biggest presence is on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm a short and sweet kind of gal, and I like how Instagram, is quick. And
Yeah.
you can keep up with people easy
Right.
there, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
And this is tilow.com. I've made it easy. Just put two initials, T.I and then Lowe. And I have my own website, tilow.com. Easy
Okay.
again.
That's easy.
And
Yep.
I have a monthly newsletter where, if you want to I only send out once a month because I don't like to be bothered and I don't like to bother people. But kind of, it's fun to share some behind the scenes scoop about things. Like my January one, for some wild cosmic whatever, I got to spend the day with James Patterson. So
Oh,
yeah,
well, hello.
yeah. Me, the little old Southern me, how'd that happen? I don't know. But so I share a lot about stuff like that,
Yeah.
the scenes, things on how things are going. And I also have, at the bottom of the newsletter, the last thing I share is books I'm reading or I want to read.
Mm.
And so there's always some recommendations there, and it's always crazy all over the board because I read all over the board. One of my biggest things that I like to tell people is don't judge a book by its cover, just like a person.
Hmm.
Give it a chance. You never know if what's behind that cover or what's behind that person that could be your next favorite. So
Right.
always give a book a chance and
Yep.
give people a chance too.
Absolutely.
Definitely, this month's newsletter. Well, I don't know when we'll be, but anyway, where we are now, I have it ready to go. And the Vanishing of Castle Moreo.
Moreau. Yeah.
I don't want to mess that up.
That's
Look, my
okay.
tongue, don't ask me to pronounce something because I'm gonna say it wrong. But I told you before we started that's on my Kindle. I had pre-ordered it, and I was like, it's going to be there waiting on me because that's going to be my treat for finishing up the
Oh,
book I'm working on, and I'm so close to finishing the next one, which is going to be Low Country Lost, and
mm,
hopefully we're looking at a 2024 summer release on that one. But
awesome.
yeah, definitely go get Jamie's book too.
Well, I hope you like it and
I
thank
know
you.
I will.
Thank you so much for pre-ordering that. That's awesome. And yeah, Low Country Lost, we talked a little bit about it before, so I won't say anything here, but it sounds totally up my alley. I'm just going to put that teaser out there for the rest of the world to hear. So, oh, well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This is great. And hopefully it won't
Thank
be
you for
the last
inviting me.
time.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was super fun. So, and everybody go out and get Indigo Isle and learn about the monster of Indigo Isle. I'm probably making that sound way creepier than it's supposed to, but
He's pretty creepy to begin with.
okay, good, good. I like some creepy, so this is good. Southern creepy is really good. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, let's just say that. All right, well, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Y'all take care.